chat.
A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone, like the tiger.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Monday Night Tigercast. 114 people were on standby for that, just quietly. So thank you, everybody, for hanging around. CB just had a... he uttered the words, "I can't hear you, EJ." We're like, surely not. And he jumped out, jumped back in, and we're good to go. We're good to go. But welcome, everybody. Hope you're all doing well from everywhere around the world. Thank you for joining us. CB Jane Bunn 17, welcome. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. We're just truth talkers on this show, mate. We're just truth talkers on the show. We told you, and we got mocked in the comments. And when it started hosing down,
savaged for suggesting it was going to rain. I was going to rock up with my umbrella tonight.
Yep. just saying. Not only can we almost predicted the team, didn't we? We were out by 2 for the round 1 team.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was out by 2, but we got the weather forecast right, which was maybe the harder of the two. So we'll take a 50% strike rate, but I did, as soon as it started raining on me, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. It's happening. It's bloody happened. Thankfully, it wasn't a lot of rain, so it probably didn't impact the game too much, I don't think. It was a little bit greasy, I suppose, at times. But no, it was very, very funny to see it start raining. EJ, welcome. Loving the background.
Yeah, thank you. Now, before we look, I know it's a Tigercast, and I know we talk about Richmond, but I have a public service announcement. I believe I need to make this, right? Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter, I'm never, ever turning Twitter off, has just come out with the most amazing stat, and I think we all need to hear it. If Essendon get to April 17th without collecting the 4 points in any game, they will achieve parity between days since winning an AFL final and hours since winning an AFL game. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
What a stat. That was unbelible.
I don't think Jane Bunn appreciated my work there. He's not even looking up.
No,
I've got the sorry, I've had a missed text from a coach, and I'm just responding. Apologies.
That's Sir Swamp Thing does legendary work on Twitter. I encourage everyone to follow him. I sometimes wonder, how do you even find that information? But he is the absolute best of the best. So make sure you get around Sir Swamp Thing.
How do you even think of that information?
I don't know. I don't know, but we're all here for it. That is a very, very good stat. Long may it continue. And this is the thing, right? I know we'll talk about our game shortly, but as the weekend kept getting on, you kind of kept thinking that, well, at least we're not X team, at least we're not Y team, which I'm sure we might touch on soon too. But before we get stuck into the football side of things, I did want to talk about, it's still football related. Firstly, Grock's not going to be on tonight because he's got a migraine, just for those who are asking. He woke up with a bad migraine. But I wanted to talk about the ticket prices, and EJ, you wanted to put some stats forward about the trend of the game as well. I know the two aren't necessarily directly linked, but they're not officially Richmond related, so we'll bundle them together. But the ticket price thing was a really interesting one. I've seen a lot of hate and a lot of disgruntled supporters from all clubs, not just ours, over the course of the weekend, having to, I guess the crux of it is that people are paying whatever it is, $300, $400, $500 for memberships for home and away games, and then having to pay another $70 to $100 on top of that to reserve a seat for a away game. Just seems really, really tough to swallow, especially in this type of financial time where, petrol's through the roof and the cost of living is obviously not very cheap, and it can take, it pretty much takes the family equation out. So we did a bit of a poll on Twitter, and there was, I'll get the exact number so I don't make it up. So there were 61 votes so far, and 66% of people said yes, that extra fee did stop them from attending the game, and 34% said they couldn't attend anyway, so the people that weren't impacted. And yeah, I just think it's one of those ones that nothing will change unless the crowds dwindle away, but everyone wants to do the right thing and go when they can. So I get that too. But it was, and to Kat's point, that's probably the part that really pissed me off, is that there was 74,000 there, and they've gone full ticketed and just made it really difficult for people to get to. I just didn't think it was needed. And I mean, Nick, Jesus, cost Nick $700 for his family to see the grandkids in the Guard of Honor, which was a special moment. Don't get me wrong, Nick. I'm sure you'd do it all again, but $700 just seems a little bit insane, doesn't it?
Well, think our math, wasn't it, Michaels? We had a chat today, just one of those many chats that we have excluding EJ because he's a bit volatile at times on the phone. But we were saying, I think and I'm happy to be corrected, last year's round one crowd we thought it might have been 82. We'll say it was 84,000 around there.
I think it was in the 80s, wasn't it? Someone will have that stat to hand.
Yeah.
But...
So even if it was round, so 83,000 last year, and what did we get this year? 76,000?
74.
So that's a 10% drop. That's a 10% drop on the same game 1 year later. So that's actually significant. That is significant.
It just makes it tough, doesn't it, EJ? And not only that for the admission prices, as has been pointed out here as well, but now your subscription services like KO are getting jacked up through the roof as well, to the point where people are now buying other club or other code memberships that have KOs attached to it because it ends up being cheaper than your normal plan. And the service is allegedly not fantastic sometimes anyway during the season. So it's a bit of a shit show. And I think there's something they've got to address, but I don't think they're going to do it unless fans talk with their feet. But that was that part. Have you got anything to add on that part, EJ, before you do your stats?
Oh, no, look, I think the explanations from the big boss just didn't hold water. That was the disappointing thing, was that in their heart of hearts, they realise that this double gouge is a step too far, and yet they don't even have the balls to publicly come out and say, yeah, look, okay, we got it wrong. You know what? People would respect any organisation. Doesn't matter whether it was the AFL or the government or your local footy club. If you admit to your mistakes and genuinely own your mistakes, you get credibility for that. When you back away, and same thing with the kerfuffle about the service before the game last week, and it's going to a commission now, and Dylan's going, oh, nothing to do with us, nothing to do with. If you take ownership of the situation, people will have a lot more respect and a lot more buy-in when you do say something. So they're actually only hurting themselves by the way that they've not addressed it.
Yep. And it just comes back to don't treat supporters like idiots.
And I nearly texted you today. I nearly had my first bloodbath ready to go in 2 years. And I'll kind of go off on it now because you mentioned it. This AFL rights agreement is the worst thing that this administration's done in a hell of a long time. And I'll preface this deal goes for 7 years, right? And the one thing we always had was free-to-air football on a Saturday night, right? Where you can sit down, your working week is done, you can watch it, you've watched your local team, what have you. We're now, I mean, what would you say, a generation's 10 years? Would that be a fair call?
It's about 14. It's about 14 or 15.
Yeah, okay. So half a generation is now going to progress through the ranks of when you really, really love your footy from, 8, 10 through to 17, what have you. They're going to grow up in an environment with no free-to-air Saturday night football. And it only took KO 1 year to gouge the absolute shit out of it and put it up to $45 to force people to pay for their product. If you want to watch footy on a Saturday, you've got to pay a premium. And
how much is it?
It's $45 a month, KO. Not even joking. So add that on to, if you're an AFL member, so you're a member of your club, you're paying a member, and then you've got to fork out an extra $60 to $100 on a fully ticketed game. And if you want your K to watch other things, you're paying double the price there for that product. Everything is going up. So the AFL listening to the fans is absolute bulltish. We know this, right? And it's only a matter of time before they announce a twilight or a night grand final. We know this. But yeah, it's alarming and it's concerning at how much everything has gone up. And it's an absolute rort and a piss take on the fans. And it's just disgusting.
Yep, agree. And apologies for the the non-Richmond rant at the start, folks. We just thought, we're all supporters of the game, right? We're all feeling it, so it was a worthwhile discussion. I think voice your opinion. Like if you see those polls or things like that put out by the AFL, voice your opinion. The more people that can speak up about it, the better. But it's just not good enough. But EJ, you had some stats put forward to you today. This is more in relation to maybe a trend that we might start seeing in the modern game, this year's game compared to last year's game.
Yeah. Obviously a little bit. I feel like Vincent Van Gogh. I keep losing my ear.
He was talented, mate.
Okay, a D grade Vincent Van Gogh. I'll wear that. Right. So, and this was sent to me by Jones Racing, and I'll have to get the Twitter handle to put it out to give them their credit. But I took a screenshot so that I could see the print because I've got bad eyes. What we're seeing is stoppages collapsing and open play surging. Now, it's only a round and a half, but the numbers, it's not like a 1 or 2% thing. The numbers are huge. Tackles are down 11% a game. Clearances are down 6%. Ruck contests are down 16%. Throw-ins are down 24%. Repeat stoppages are down 33%. But on the other hand, with this open play, and look, some of the rules, I actually like. The last touch, I'm really enjoying it. Disposals are up 6%. Metres gained is up 8%. Marks, here's an interesting one. Marks are up 8%, but contested marks are down 11%. Right? Intercepts are up 11%. Inside 50s are up 10%, and the goals are up 8%. So there's a definitive change occurring. And the reason I thought it was interesting, because I'm sure we're going to talk about a few players later on, and I think this affects certain players in our squad moving forward.
Definitely a trend heading towards the need for speed, isn't there, CB?
Adam Simpson on SEN today was actually talking about this, EJ, and he highlighted the Melbourne St Kilda game, and he said it was an absolute it was a fantastic game to watch, but it was an absolute shootout for 4 quarters. And he said he was waiting for a coach to take charge and actually go back to the old style of controlling the ball, and he doesn't feel that the current run and gun of just flat out footy for 4 quarters, he doesn't think it can be sustained. So it'll be an interesting watch to see.
And the thing is they say that they don't want to turn it into netball, but this is that is heading in that direction, the non-contact sort of direction. And the handle on Twitter is @fantasynut_AFL. They're the one that put the information out. So thank you to them. I thought it was quite illuminating.
Yep, I like it. I think that ties in nicely to the review of the Richmond Carlton game. Each week, CB dropped off because I did it with the old screen. But each week, as you know, the review part of the show is brought to us by Aussie Ringwood. Massive thanks and shout out to Luke and the team at Aussie Ringwood. So if you do have a home loan or you want to refinance or anything like that, save yourself some money, get in touch with Luke and he can do all the legwork for you. You can be anywhere in Australia. You can do it via Teams, via phone call. And the best part is there's no upfront costs. So you aren't out of pocket or anything like that. Luke just gets the job done for you. You save some money. And he's a mad Richmond supporter as well. So feel free to chew his ear off about all things football too when you get a hold of him. So thank you again to Luke and Aussie Ringwood. Look, disappointing loss against the Blues. The score 10-15-75. Carlton defeated Richmond 9-17-71 by 4 points. It was it was a tale of two halves. And I think there was clearly a lot of frustration from fans with the inaccuracy side of things. And I think it's still all valid and warranted. But then once you sort of calm down and step back and you actually sort of look and realize that we did play a hell of a lot better this year than last year. And, I don't think we're going to kick that badly again, hopefully. But there was still plenty of good things to take out of that game, CB, despite not getting the 4 points.
I think actually Adam Uze, I think he said it best in his presser when he said last year we won a game that we weren't entitled to win and we probably shouldn't have won. And this year we've lost a game that statistically we should have won.
Should have won by 4 or 5 goals, I reckon. That's how dominant we were in the second half.
Carlton missed some sitters. I would have been happy with like a 12, 14-point margin. I think that would have been a fair result in our favour. But unfortunately, if my auntie had a set of nuts on her, she'd be my uncle too. But it ain't happening. So, it was just. It's a weird one. It's a weird one to talk about because we had some really, really good things occur in the game, and yet we botched it. So I don't know. It's a hard one to take in a way.
EJ, since you had some stats earlier, I thought I would go through and find some 2025 round one to 2026 round one comparisons. And it was interesting that you mentioned the marking side of the game and the differential there, because even within our own game, in 2025, in the same corresponding game, we took 66 marks, and this week we took 97, so that's a significant increase. And the other big one I noticed was uncontested possessions. In last year, we had 189 for the game. This year, 216. Stoppage clearances, we actually were better last year. We had 34 last year and 17 this year. But centre clearances, we had 9 last year and 12 this year. And quite dramatically, the biggest indicated that we were playing better, I think. Inside 50s in 2025, we had 40, and in 2026, we had 60. So I think, and so the other one I'll do is marks inside 50. In 2025, we had 6, and in 2026, we had 15. So more than double the inside 50 marks. So I guess the takeaway from that is, we've said it before, that there is a chance that we will play better football this year and not win as many games or the same amount of games as we did last year. And that to me can be okay as long as we're playing better football, because other teams improve as well. We can't control that. But the percentage is where we end up landing on with what we want to see as a good metric. But what did you make of the game, and what do you feel about those stats in the clear differentials between this year and last year and how we played?
Can you just put up Rod Dudley's comment, please? Okay. Just on this, and I know EJ may differ with me, and that's fine. I respect his opinion. He's a beautiful man. He's a great man. Going into this game, Carlton had 6 more quarters advantage than we had going in. We played half a practice game, no game in round 0, and we have to front up in round 1. Carlton got a full practice match in. They got to play round 0, and then they come up against what we know we're a bottom 4 team. So it took us the first 15, 20 minutes, we were off the pace a bit, but then we pretty much matched them, and it was that first sort of 20 that really hurt us when they were kicking goals from everywhere and couldn't miss. But understand that's another thing maybe for another night. This round 0 garbage, everyone has to play round 0. It's just, it gives other teams an advantage to the teams that don't play. So that's my.
I don't believe everyone has to play round 0, because I don't think it should exist.
Just play round 1. Just what a novel idea that we've had for God knows how long. More and more coaches, sorry to sidetrack, more and more coaches are starting to speak up about it too, which is interesting. But EJ, thoughts on the game and some of the stats that correlate to this year and last year and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, look, I think what we were looking for, right? We were looking for better connection inside 50. That was on display, right? We were looking for better drive off halfback, and that was on display. We were looking for different midfield mixes, and we saw a little bit of that as well. What we've seen now. How many did he have? 16? Lalor?
Who's that? Possessions? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What an impactful 16 possession game that was, and how clean was he, when he was in the gut. So before the game, we were saying we wanted to see X, Y, Z. Now, we didn't get the result, but I believe we saw bits of what we were looking for. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, Lynch has had a filthy day in front of the sticks. Yes, some of the other kids have missed some shots that they were sodas. You should have put them down. There was some bad choices when going inside 50, etc., etc. But overall, and it did cost us the game in the end, but overall, we'd walk away from that. We'd go, we wanted to see changes. We wanted to see a style, blah, blah, blah. I think we saw it. And,
we did. And out of those things you listed, I reckon it was maybe just the midfield mix we didn't see a wide range of. Maybe some of that was the personnel available potentially. But it still seemed to work. We won the centre clearances, right? And that's been the bugbear. So whatever they did actually fundamentally worked. Stoppages is a little bit different, but more people are involved. But I agree. And as frustrated as it was for Lynchy missing the shots he missed, and he was frustrated himself. We all saw that in the audio on his mic'd up video. But he was by far and away the most dominant forward on the ground. And it was actually refreshing for him as an older player who's maybe gone through a period of football where he's had to sit deep and put his hand up to try and mark a ball, to be able to lead up with the ball carrier, change directions, and be hit lace out would have been quite refreshing for him. If he does that more often than not, I think his fortunes will turn fairly quickly.
I think we need to not target him as much. It becomes, I think over time it'll develop when there's more trust in the young kids, etc., etc. But there's still an element of they kind of know where we're going to go most of the time.
Sure.
And again, I think that could also hurt a little bit. Sorry, Jane, go ahead.
Now, someone made a comment that said Richmond, Carlton, Port and Essendon were defensively poor. Well, Carlton conceded 75 points. We conceded 71. Essendon conceded 145 points. And Port Adelaide conceded 113 against North Melbourne. So when you look at the size of the scores kicked, defensively, actually, we had one of the lowest scores kicked for the whole round. So defensively, we were okay. It was just
that first quarter. The first quarter, they were legitimately all over us. No denying it. They were also making the most of their chances. But after that, to only allow one goal for the second half, that's what we were used to producing ourselves last year. So and I'm not saying that we won't at some stage during the year, because this week does scare me greatly. But to flip that narrative and to hold them who, and if we're being honest with ourselves, Carlton are 3 or 4 years ahead of us list-wise. So I know they've had some turnover and things like that. But to hold them to a goal and a half of football, I thought was a really, really good effort by the midfield for adapting and changing what they were doing, and then the defence as well, EJ.
It's funny you talk about 1 goal and a half a game. Another one of the great stats from the weekend. That is the first time since the 1968 grand final that Carlton have kicked 1 or less goals in the second half of football and won the game.
Is that right?
That's how unlucky we were. That's how frustrating it is. It's 58 years since they've got away with kicking 1 goal and a half football and winning the game.
The other thing as well,
RC. So I meant in terms of age and development, not necessarily on talent, but just in terms of their development cycle, they're ahead of us.
Yeah, I reckon. I sort of agree with RFC. I reckon they're behind, because I reckon there's pieces that are going to start falling away.
They're behind on execution and a lot of other things, but like I said, ultimately we walk away happier than they do when we lost.
Oh yeah, going into the Tasmania years, we are in such a better position than they are.
Well, maybe Walker changes his mind.
Well, keep in mind this as well. We're not expected to do anything for the next couple of years, right? Before we start hopefully progressing up the ladder. So do you reckon Jonty Fall and Armstrong, with those 2 decisions they made, this is the time to actually make those decisions and get those learnings in? I mean, you're talking to guys under 15 games each. And, Harry, if he had that moment again, hopefully he takes a different part, you know what I mean? So, and Jonty took a great mark and butchered a kick as well. This is the time when they're going to make these Blues, hopefully when they're young into their career, and hopefully they don't make these mistakes in 3 or 4 years' time, and then they make the right decision, then we get the win. So
you got to make those mistakes to learn. And I actually think that Harry picked the right option, just didn't execute it well. There was, I think, Lalor and Lynch were both in that area, but just missed the target. So it is what it is, though. But
Tubby Josh, I thought Bruce was working with their forwards on execution. Well, mate, we got it in there 60 times, so clearly he's worked whatever they've worked on. At least we got it in there,
and got more marks inside 50. And our number one forward had 10 shots.
Yeah, look, I suppose to his point though that we missed a couple of absolute sodas we should kick, and some of Lynch's ones were difficult to be fair, but there were a lot of easy ones too. But it is what it is, and like I said, the method and the way we want to play was at least there. I think it would have been far worse if we didn't see any progression on that side of things. But the fact we tick pretty much every other box, just bar the execution part, was a promising sign, and hopefully we can build on it. But we'll talk about some individual players quickly because there were some good players. I'm going to start with Jaden Short, who did pick up 6 votes from the coaches' votes, which was the most from any Richmond player. 29 disposals, 10 marks, 753 metres gained. I felt, CB, that he was back to the Short of old, almost winding back the clock a little bit. I thought he was steady. I know, look, not a lot of our players had a good first quarter, so let's maybe put that to one side. But as the game got on, I thought Shorty, was leading from the front and doing really well.
That's why he's one of the leaders, and that's why it doesn't matter what we think as supporters. That's why his magnet will be on the board every single week. And if he keeps producing like that, I agree. It was his best game. It was his best game for 3 years. It was a terrific output. So, long may it continue. Keep on going, Shorty.
Highest rated Richmond player on the ground. And not only did he have 753 metres gained, he also has had 350 assisted metres gained. So it's over a kilometre.
That's big.
That's a new. So I've got a sheet that I download every week now with an amazing array of statistics, and I think when you set someone else up and they take metres, that's got to count as well. So you've got assisted metres gained as well as metres gained.
Yeah, okay,
and that's interesting. That was the most on the ground by anyone.
It was a good game from Shorty, and more of that. Like, he's back to kicking his long range goals. Probably should have hit that one that he had the mark from. I blew my mind that he didn't make the distance there, but then he made up for one from the centre square. So I was really happy for Shorty, and I think if we get more of that, we'll be very, very, very happy. Tim Taranto, 29 disposals, 20 pressure acts, 7 clearances. EJ, I thought, for me, he stood out quite a lot in the second half. He was just desperate and just bullying his way through Carlton midfielders to try and get the ball moving forward, just head down, arse up, hard-working type stuff. And it was really good to see. Obviously was robbed of a chance to have a shot at goal. But I really thought Tim's game, he led from the front in a big, big way in that midfield group.
Oh, there you go. Well, perfect. So he was 15 contested possessions, 12 ground ball gets, and he mightn't look that good for metres gained, 329, but he had 467 assisted metres gained. Yeah, you're right. He was, as you saw, pressure acts, I think he was second only to Jack Ross for us. So, he was enormous. And he's been consistently good for us now for for 3 years straight. I don't get the slander on him from some sections of the media. He is exactly what we thought we were going to get when we got him.
Thank God we did.
He had a ripper. Jack Ross, CB, 23 disposals, 4 marks, 7 tackles. He was probably one that, I think, EJ, we spoke about it today as well, that you probably felt or you viewed his game as being better once you rewatched it back and you saw a bit more value in what he was doing. But I thought he had a really good start to the year, playing a lot more midfield minutes, and I thought he had a really good game, Jack Ross.
Well, he started this year how he finished last year, hadn't he? So, terrific and justified his selection starting in the middle. So,
yes.
And didn't look like, I know the concerns were pace in the middle with Lalor, Ross and Taranto in there, but I don't know, he didn't look slow to me, and he looks like he keeps. He hasn't hit his ceiling yet. He's improving year on year, Jack Ross, and no, he's been. Where we get him? What pick was he?
Oh, I'm not too sure.
No.
Yeah, he's been a value pick. He's been a real value pick.
He's never going to be lightning fast, but his endurance now is really, really good.
Yeah,
he's got his running to a really good spot. Absolutely. He's worked his ass off. EJ Noel Balta, 19 disposals, 7 marks, 9 intercepts. I thought he was phenomenal. Really, really strong down back to keep Harry Mackay. He only got 1 goal, I think it was, with the amount of ball that was going down there the first quarter and a half. He and Miller, to be fair to both of them, I thought were good. But to see Balta, what I liked about Balta, there was a couple of moments in the game where the ball had gotten kicked out the back and he had a decision to make, whether to stay on his man or to come up and impact the contest where the ball was in dispute. And he left his man, come up and attacked it, but actually impacted the contest in a positive way. And that's a really good sign of confidence and trust in your teammates behind you as well. So I really liked what I saw from Noah Balta.
Yeah, hoping for a really consistent year. He was immense down back. Would you believe he was also second for metres gained for us on the night?
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was. He had a lot of contested possessions, a lot of intercepts. Hopefully, it's a case of he's trained into one position all summer. He knows he's not going to get thrown around, so maybe mentally he's already more settled. We all know, I mean, we can equate it to our own work lives or whatever. If you're mentally in the right spot, you perform better instantly. So if that's an indication of what we're going to get with him and Miller together as a really solid starting two locks in the middle, it gives us a great foundation to build on down back.
Agree. CB, Sam Lalor, 16 disposals, 2 goals, 4 marks. Look, didn't get 20, 25 disposals, but shitty impacts the game when he touches the football. Just some really nice clearances. Probably unlucky not to have kicked a third. You would pencil him in most weeks for that one. But it was good to see him have an extended run in the midfield.
Kane Corns, for once, you were right.
He loves him, doesn't he? He loves Lalor.
Loves him. He just said basically he doesn't need to get 20, 25. He gets his 15, 16 each week, and he's going to do something with them. And he is an absolute Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, whatever car you want to call him. We nailed that pick. Let's be serious. And as much as EJ shut me down when I said in our little message, I said, I know we shouldn't compare players to past players, but when he kicked that goal, where he took it out of the pack, he did look like another number 4. That's all I'm saying, minus the tats.
KB.
It was absolutely fantastic.
He's 29. Royce, he's a smooth moving.
What's happened to Mansell? I've seen 3 posts about Mansell.
He's out, mate.
Is it? I don't know. It was a broken wrist, but a fractured wrist.
He'll be out for 3. He'll be out for a month.
He reported back to the injury clinic a day after the game, and they, with wrist soreness, did some scans, and busted wrists. No idea when it happened, but no good.
Okay.
But no, Lalor, very good game. Some other players with some honourable mentions before we get into our player of the game. James Trezise, EJ, I don't know if I'm in the minority or not, but I really liked his game. And the part for me that stood out, I know he dropped one mark in a back pocket that he probably should have taken if he had his time back again. But he did take some other strong marks. But the biggest one for me with him was late in the game when we still needed to push to try and hit the front. He was the one making runs and making things happen. He did about a 100-metre sprint along the boundary line, hit 2 targets, and then got the handball received back and then laced up Lynch inside 50. That, to me, late in the game is really, really valuable when no one else is prepared to run. If you're the team that's got someone who's prepared to do it, you'll more often than not necessarily come out on top, but you're going to give yourself a really good chance of trying to kick that goal that you need.
Yeah, mentality. We've all had opinions on certain players, etc. He's in the side because when you trust your teammate and you know he's going to do X, Y, Z, it makes a massive difference. Everyone else can play their roles naturally or whatever. You know exactly what Trezise is going to do, and he will do it for the full 4 quarters. I think with more game time, he'll improve even more. He looks like an AFL player. He's got a body like an AFL player now, which has been building up over a couple of years. I trust him, and I think if his teammates trust him, he'll be fine. He was really good.
Well, he was
100% disposal efficiency. Was
it really?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I'm pumped for him. I think he's got a spot in the side for sure. CB, this might divide chat, but I'm going to go with it anyway. Maurice Rioli, I don't care what the disposal numbers say. I still stand by, and I'll die on this hill, that he had a good game. The pressure he creates and the things he does that don't register a stat that help the team immensely, some of the things he does aren't measurable. Would we like him to get more disposals? Sure. Don't disagree. Would you love him to kick a couple of goals? Absolutely. But I think it's offset when Mansell and Green are kicking 2 goals each. I think your small forwards are then getting busy and they're getting the rewards. But the chasing, the pressuring, the tackling, and then the perceived pressure that comes with it, I thought if I wouldn't be surprised if he had some footage shown to the group in the review to say, hey, this is the type of effort and intensity we want to see.
Correct. Agree with everything. his magnet isn't going off the board this week, mate. He was an example with some of his pressure acts. He's not going anywhere, mate. He had some great moments in the game, and the Carlton forwards would. The Carlton defenders were definitely shitting themselves. They were looking for him, if you know what I mean.
I agree with everything you said, but I'll put a counterpoint to it. Whilst we are in this developmental phase, his magnet is staying on the board. As we improve, that pressure's fine, but as we improve, he will need to contribute more in other areas. But at the moment, for what he brings on the other side of the ball, absolutely he has to stay in.
I can understand that, but then I would think that you would, if we're going to look at replacing in the future, you still need someone in your team to do that pressure. No one else in our team can do what he does on that particular metric.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when we saw it with, a lot of the supporter base were on George's hammer for years, and Dimmer was never taking him off the board. Yeah, and he explained it after the fact.
I think as well, as long as the other smalls are getting their share of goals, if it's because of what he's doing, it probably feels a bit better. But I think we'll see him out there again this week for sure. Just quickly, Steely Green, CB, I thought was really nice as well. 2 goals for him. I think a lot of us were probably genuinely surprised about the selection because his Melbourne preseason game wasn't huge, even though it wasn't a full game. But I thought he equipped himself quite well and was, along with Mansell, the one of the more dangerous small forwards for us on the night.
Played a great game. Like everyone there, I sort of, because we just didn't, based on his preseason form, we just didn't consider him. But clearly the selection panel knows far more than us, and he was terrific. I thought he had a really good 4-quarter game, and he was one of the few guys in that first sort of half when we were down a bit. He was looking really good. So terrific game, and pressured, scored, did everything we asked that we needed of him.
And our Aussie Ringwood Cub player of the game, Cub being young player of the game, EJ, has to go to Sam Grill, of course. We cannot forget Sam Grill and the debut that he had, and 19 disposals, 19% efficiency. Just wow. It's the aggressive running. I know we spoke about it all preseason, but again, his willingness to try and take the game on and make things happen, changing directions aggressively, getting the 1-2s. It was just really, really good to see a player in the back half of our ground doing that, because it helps the guys up the front half of the ground.
Oh, 100%. And that long passage where I think he got 3 possessions out of it, that cut at speeds to change direction was like, that's a rare commodity. To be able to maintain your pace and cut like that is awesome. He will definitely get a rising star nom early in the season if he keeps playing like that.
Yep. No,
and to be fair,
and Andrew's right, and the fend off.
Like, Grill had a fantastic game, but I've also got no issue with the young Carlton lad getting the Rising Star nomination this week. So no issue with that. But, yeah, for us, Grill had a blinder. And you reckon with the way Grill's going, like we talked about, his game now complements and works in with a guy like Jaden Short, and so does Banks, if that makes sense. Takes a bit of pressure off Shorty to get up. Like, it frees Shorty up a bit to maybe be more damage again, having those 2 guys, Banks and Grill, off that half-back line running. Would you agree?
Yep. Definitely eases the pressure. It's going to be fun watching him for many years to come. So before we get on to what our votes were, look, there's probably a couple of players. There's probably one player in particular we maybe need to highlight that didn't have a great game, for being fair. Jacob Hopper, it was a really interesting game for him. It just didn't feel like he was matching it how he should in the midfield. Had a couple of sprayed kicks that you would have loved him to have hit to players inside 50. EJ, I guess as well, the stats that you were giving at the start of the show probably correlate a little bit to how this might impact him potentially.
Yeah. Not going to sack him off one effort.
No, definitely not.
No, because, I mean, I thought last year, like, he was really good.
He was.
We were a slow team, but he was really good. But I think with the way the game is moving forward, we're going to get to a point in time where we're going to have to choose X amount of certain types of players. And the worry for me is if he doesn't lift that, he'll be the one of that type of player that will be cut. I'm not saying it's now. I'm not saying it's next week. And everyone is entitled to a couple of mulligans. But he looked slow compared to some of the others. And an interesting stat that I dug up just before we hit the air, apart from Gray, who was the 5th interchange player and was basically used exclusively as the ruck, Hopper had the lowest game time for us. And I think that points out.
And look, I'll probably re-ask this when we do the Gold Coast part, but the selection when Presti's available does become very, very interesting, which I'm sure we'll circle back to. But with that said, with all of that said, with the review, here were our votes from the game. Grock did want to change this, so I might have to update this, but I went Taranto for 5, Balta 4, short 3, grill 2, Lalor 1. Grock went Balta 5, short 4, 3, grill 2, Lalor 1, green. CB, Taranto 5, Nank 4, Lynch 3, Balta 2, grill 1. EJ, and CB didn't copy anyone this week for the first one. EJ had Taranto 5, Ross 4, short 3, 2, Lalor 1, Balta. And Tiggs had Lynch for 5, 4 Lalor, 3 Nank, 2 grill, 1 Mansell. So Tim Taranto off to an early lead with 15 votes, with Noah Balta second and Shorty in third. I think those votes all kind of speak for themselves. I think that was all fair play there. All right, I think that pretty much does that part of it. The VFL, for those questioning Lynch, he was the best forward on the ground from a key forward perspective by far. So just because he kicked 7 points doesn't mean he doesn't deserve votes. And it's someone else's opinion. So it's if people view it that way, but he was clearly the most dominant forward on the ground. Clearly.
Also, the reason he wasn't in my votes, he was dominant, but he was also by an absolute mile the lowest rated player on the ground.
Is that because the points drop it down though?
Yep.
I wonder what the...
Because there's also expected points.
Okay.
Right, so he was expected to score 35.5 points. So he was like minus 16.5 on X score. So, yes, you get penalised very harshly for missing sodas or gimmies.
Yeah, okay.
I'd rather have a key forward clunk 7 grabs and have the opportunity to have a shot than rack up fantasy points.
Yeah, this isn't fantasy points. I have removed all fantasy points from the stats that I do. This is AFL ratings points, and then X score is it's a valid metric. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you what percentage chance a player should have of kicking a goal from that position.
Okay.
I thought Lynch was really good, but the errors that he made penalise him enough for me to not have him in the top 5.
Oh, mate, vote away. But what I'm saying to you is, like Jaden Short, that's probably the best game Lynch has actually played individually, apart from the errant kicking. Like the way he moved and took the mark. It's probably the best game he's played in 3 years.
What's the name of the game?
Football.
So apart from the kicking, you were saying.
Well, the accurate kicking, he did everything right and created the opportunities and clunked them. He created opportunities for the smalls. He competed. He goes away as usual.
Hopefully we see it again this week.
Mate, if he has 10 shots a week, I'll be doing dances down the street. Don't worry about that.
We'll be laughing. Okay, we'll move on to the VFL now. Full disclosure, I was unable to watch the full game because of work-related meetings. I'm sure there's a lot of people who missed the practice game. The short of it, though, is we did go down to the Blues by 7 points. It was only a pracky game, so the score's not completely important. Liam Fawcett did kick 3 goals, and he got a couple of early ones too, some really nice lead-up marks and goals. Zane Piker got 2 goals, Hayes Brown 1, Burton 1, Lafau 1, Roberts Thompson 1, and Sam Toner 1. Roberts Thompson looked pretty good early days too, so look, I didn't see, like I said, the full amount of the game, but there's going to be players in that who are going to be putting their hand up. And the injury to Mansell today makes things really, really interesting, especially for someone like Zane Piker, which I'm sure we'll touch on soon. And Jasper Alga, I think I saw James Racing say that Jasper went off injured in the first half or second half.
He got smacked. Was he the one who got injured in that? There was a marking contest in the square, and I reckon Alga got absolutely smashed in this marking contest, and it was a big hit. I don't know if it was Fawcett. Someone's just gone in and just there was a Carlton player, and Alga's gone up, and the Richmond guys just come from another side and just absolutely poleaxed him.
Friendly fire.
It was Alga.
So could have been Jasper, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see if anyone knows any more. I mean, he wasn't mentioned in the injury report, so I assume that he's okay. So the VFL does kick off next week. Sam has put VFL game is on KO this Saturday at 10 a.m. Should be on the
$45 a month.
Yeah, it should be on the AFL website. Also streamed those games last year, so we'll keep an eye out there too. Come on, man! Just about to launch.
EJ, missing a kidney. Not going to afford me KO for a month.
Before we get stuck into Come On Man, the injury report dropped this afternoon. So the good news is that Nick Vlaston is available. Dion Prestia is available. We'll talk more about them in the preview for the Suns. Samson Ryan 1 week with the foot, so we'll see him playing some type of football next weekend, which is good. Mansell 3 to 4 weeks, as we heard earlier, which is really disappointing because he was one of our better smalls for the day. Taj Houghton hip TBC. He's off the crutches now, walking around with a bit of a smile on his face. They're going to get another scan to see how it's healing and then go from there. Sam Cumming, his shoulder, he's back into football training but wearing the non-contact cap. They're going to progress him and see if they can take the hat off next week and see what type of call they make on that. Josh Smiley, 6 to 8 weeks still, and Sims TBC, Juddy Clark TBC. The one I want to speak about very quickly, the Sam Cumming shoulder TBC, if we look at a direct comparison, I don't know if the injury is the exact same, so I'm only working off assumptions, but Errol Goulden does his shoulder and the Swans have just pulled the trigger straight away and put him in for the surgery. He's out for 4 months. Maybe it's a little bit to do with the fact that Errol Goulden has fully developed and grown, and you can then do that straight away. I do have a slight suspicion that the hesitation with putting Sam in for surgery straight away is to do with his still developing and growing. Do we think we're realistically a chance to see him play some football? They've said the surgery is inevitable, but do you reckon it'll hold together enough? And EJ, you're probably most qualified with the shoulder stuff. Are we a chance to see him eke out a couple of games before surgery is required?
You can play with a bad shoulder, but it's always there. So as you say, the surgery will end up getting done at some point. It's just a matter of whether they believe that they can stabilise the shoulder enough with strengthening work over X amount of time. As I said previously, if I had my time again, I would have pulled the trigger on the surgery a lot earlier than what I did. Yes, I stabilised it. Yes, I got through, but it was always in the back of my head. And yeah, it's a different environment. I was never a paid professional. But I would, if they believe that it's going to get surgery anyway, I'd like to see it done earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll watch that with good and great interest to see how he progresses. But it's now time for Come On Man. I've still got to get the audio across to my new StreamYard, so I will work on that this week. But EJ,
come on, man.
We do have some nominations and a new leader, which is exciting, EJ.
It is exciting. I think we've covered off one of the nominations. The AFL and their price gouging. I mean, the people have spoken with their feet. Expected crowd, crowds. If we're going to talk about kicking, crowds were down. Stop double dipping. Stop gouging us. Come on, man. Be better.
The pies are $4.75 still, mate. From
the pies are cheap. Yeah, the seat's $50, but the pies are $4.75.
You have to get your own beer now, and you still got to pay $14.50. I read somewhere.
Oh,
Got to serve yourself, and then you got to.
This is where I have to out myself as being one of the beautiful people, and all you peasants can pay what you like, but I'm in the MCC.
There we go. There we go. Oh, top EJ. Topper.
Now, we heard a lot from Kane Corns and ripping into Uze about cheering for his players and all this sort of stuff, and Uze lacking aura. Well, in the first game for poor old Josh Carr on the weekend, where Port were walloped against not that good of a side, Carr wasn't cheering his players, but he did a very, very good impersonation of a deer in the headlights. He looked absolutely bereft of ideas. If Uze had no aura, Carr had less. And I think it's important that with Corns, you don't expect a first game coach to have massive aura. It's just, come on, Corns, just shut up and let things happen. A late nomination
from OJ. Come on, man, putting our VFL and AFL games on at a very similar starting time. Good call.
It's a great call, and it's one we're going to be able to make, unfortunately, more than once this season because the AFL are muppets. A late nomination, Eddie Maguire. Come on, man. So on the Eddie and Jimmy podcast, he's sitting there going absolutely off his rocker at the fact that the game has the temerity to suspend Scott Pendlebury. Scott Pendlebury's an ornament to the game. He'll probably get the I've never been suspended discount and get it down to a fine, no dramas, but he has to actually go through the system for that to happen. By the system, by the rules, by the matrix, it's a suspension. To even fight that on any level is just absolutely laughable. Eddie, you're a regular contributor. Shut up. Come on, man. But the winner this week, and I'm sorry, this is so ridiculous that it goes straight to the top of the leaderboard, is Luke Sayers. Right? Now, look, it's unfortunate that he's played away from home and been caught and his marriage is in trouble, and that's all very sad. And we've heard the rumours that his wife is the one that leaked the pic and all this sort of stuff. But in proceedings last week, when trying to get this all sorted out, he has come up with the excuse that the picture was taken for medical purposes. Now, come on, man. If you're going to get a picture of your dick taken for medical purposes, it'll be taken by your GP. It won't be stored on your phone, you absolute muppet.
Each, there must have been a dozen St Kilda players all going, why didn't we think of that 10 years ago?
Anyone else in here that's got a picture of their dick on the phone for medical purposes, please raise your hand.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, dear.
Come on, man.
He just had to shut up, didn't he? Just own it. Just own it. Oh, that's very funny. This is a big week for Come On Man. Make sure as well, if you do see any Come On Man moments throughout the week, please tag us, in particular EJ, on Twitter so we can store them and read them out for the show. But time to talk about the big game coming up this week on Saturday against the Gold Coast Suns. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a frightening prospect when we see what they are, a very informed team and a very dangerous side, and that had that written all over it from last year. But, it's at the MCG, so that counts for something. We knocked them off at Marvel last year. Will lightning strike twice? I'm not too sure we'll get so lucky. But how do you see us going into this game, CB? It's a tricky one. I mean, I like how we're looking quicker. I like how we're trying to move the ball better. But there's going to be a lot of things we need to do really well to stop the heavy hitters of the Gold Coast Suns. I mean, Christian Petrarca, my God, he has had a super start to the year. I think he's got perfect 10s 2 weeks in a row.
We are hitting
the coaches' votes.
We're hitting him at the wrong time. They're white hot. It's just, we can't win. Look, what this is a test of our systems, and I hate the word. It's a test of our systems, and get the learnings in against an absolute machine at the moment. And, test our game plans, test our philosophies, and see what stands up against a really, 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 really good team, and then go from there. I mean, look, we know Tom Lynch he always has a really ring-a-ding-ding game against the fullback.
Yeah, against Collins, yep.
Yeah, Collins hates his guts. So
they really don't like each other too. It looks like on the field. They're probably really good mates off the field, but
it's personal, mate. It's personal when they're on the field. It's just that the speed. What's scary about Gold is their speed of their ball movement and their running waves, and how we are going to stop that.
They're clean as well.
Correct. And the space. It's the space of the MCG with their runners. Like I don't know. I don't know how. I just don't know how we're going to stop that run. I just don't have ball movement. I just don't know. Unless we've got 18 blokes in their defensive. Unless we've got 18 blokes in defensive 50, and we literally just let them have shots from 70.
Oh, look, their depth is ridiculous. They've recruited really well. Dimmer takes things very personally, and so us beating them last year is not good for this fixture. I put in a margin, but I think I might have unders myself by a little bit. Yeah, this could be. Oh, hello, we've lost the big boss. This could be an ugly game. Jane Barn, I think we might have to carry things for a minute here, buddy.
That's all right, mate. You keep going.
No, I just, they look good up forward. They look solid down back. The drive off halfback is really strong.
Yeah.
We're probably lucky we're getting them without – Rao's not back, is he?
Hang on, I've got a text message from Michael. My internet just booted me. Is it still on?
Yes, it's still on. Right, that's it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's a great point from Jones Racing. I wish I could put the quotes up. I gave us a chance last week, not this week. That's pretty much how I see it.
Yeah, I just think it's a question of we've got to keep the faith in our systems and our methods. And as the numbers sort of showed with our outside run and our run and gun, we have to persist with that. Losing Mansell really hurts us as that defensive forward, putting pressure on a guy like Rioli or what have you. So that hurts the hell out of us. I know Wits obviously Wits again with this new ruck rule. Tobes is in for a tough day.
I reckon they're pretty similar though. Wits isn't really a jumper, so that should even itself out.
Yeah.
So we've got to take control of this ship at the moment with Michael not being here. So with that in mind, we know that Fall's out for being a naughty boy, and we know that Mansell's out. What are you thinking from a changes point of view?
Well, there's what I personally think, and then there's what I think the club will do.
Okay.
Personally, I would probably spell Hopper this week if it was up to me. But I think Hopper will get a reprieve because Uze will back him in not to have a poor game 2 weeks in a row. Is that a fair call?
I agree.
Yeah. The question I have, Vlosten has to come in.
Yes.
Right. So the question I have, so Fall's out, Mansell's out.
Yes. Yep.
So do you roll with Campbell Gray as a third forward / ruck and bring in 2 runners? So bring in Vlosten and someone else.
No. Now this is what I would do. I'm not saying it's what the club's going to do. I would give Gray a spell, and I would bring McKelty in that fifth bench spot, because the difference between Gray and McKelty is there's enough trust and there's enough experience in McKelty that he can play more game time than just the 32% that Gray was utilised for.
Yeah.
So that gives us a better rotation. And then you've got Fall and Mansell out. So McKelty comes in for Fall, someone comes in for Mansell and Vlosten comes in for Gray.
Yeah. So here's my thing as well. The question I wanted to ask is, can we play Gibcus and Nathan Broad in the same team?
Yes, we can. But medium term, you've also got, I think we've had the discussion offline about Gibcus being maybe slightly off the pace last weekend.
I thought he did some good things.
Yeah, he did.
We need Michaels to bring the bloody team up, so he can start putting the team in.
Yeah.
But he's on the phone.
Oh, here we go. He's back.
He's on the phone. Can you hear us?
Can he hear us, though? Can he hear us? Can you hear us, Michaels?
Oh, this isn't looking good.
No,
this isn't looking good.
It isn't looking good at all.
So I think they're the questions that we have to answer is, can you play Broad and Gibcus into one team? Does that give you the ability to bring another runner in again? So if you put Gibcus out and put Tig of Vlosten in place of Gibcus, then that leaves you two positions to fix up forward. And then if you brought in Lafau to replace Fall, maybe Alga to replace.
I don't know why that's done that.
We wouldn't have Alga replace. Was that?
Oh, I just heard Michaels.
Yeah. You wouldn't have Alga in to replace Mansell, and then that still leaves you one ability to bring one more runner in.
I'm fine with Alga, but I don't think we should get rid of Gibcus. I would be ditching Gray before Gibcus, because Gibcus is giving you game time and he's giving you presence down back, etc. Gray was utilised just for the ruck, and that's it. That's too one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I would bring McKelty in, give Gibcus another week. But like Hopper, you're watching and you're sort of keeping an eye on developments there. So is it definitely Alga for Mansell, or do you look at a Piker?
No, you need another runner in, because the one thing the Suns are, they're fast. They've got.
So you reckon Alga's a runner?
Alga's got pace. Yes, he's quick.
He's a lead up mid, isn't he? He's a lead up mid-sized forward.
He's quick.
Is Piker not quick?
Alga's more advanced.
Yeah, okay. I'm asking the questions because I don't know enough. I know plenty. I know where I'm at with Alga, but I don't know enough about Piker. And I've seen his name.
That's not saying.
Yeah.
I'm just going with the devil, So the other problem we've got, I'm backing him in for another week. As we discussed also, the wings are a bit problematic for us against Carlton. But again, I think K-Mac deserves another shot at it. And I don't think they'll change the wings. I don't think they'll change them.
K-Mac was all right. I think Hugo was really poor early, but worked into the game. He went at 90% and he had a lot of inside 50s. Both McAuliffe and Hugo had a good amount of inside 50s. The issue is McAuliffe's disposal efficiency was down and Hugo's amount of possessions was down. So they both had an aspect of the game which let them down. Yeah. I think medium term, you're probably going to get more out of McAuliffe. It probably puts Hugo in the gun more than McAuliffe. But I agree, we give him another week.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've got 1.5 game sample size to see how it works. That's why I think, as much as we're talking about, we're talking about Hopper and what personally we're probably spelling, but I just think Hugo, Hopper, those guys will get another week in to see where it goes. And then once we started getting a sample size from weeks 2 to 3, that's when some decisions might get made if form doesn't improve. But keep in mind, we've got Fremantle in week 3. So our draw doesn't get easier until round 4 against Port Adelaide. So we've got a tough follow-up game and travel after this weekend as well.
Are we going to be too battered by the time the Port Adelaide comes around? Port Adelaide game comes around?
No, I don't think so. But also, I think Dion Prestia needs a run in the reserves. He can't come straight back into the ones.
Agree.
So, but I just thought Hopper's going to be a conversation, more of a conversation, I think, in the second half of the year when we start talking about list changes and people start talking about trades and I think Hopper's definitely going to be one of those names that's going to be thrown around pretty hard and fast by the faithful. Would you agree with that, Edge?
Oh, look, I think Hopper's under the gun. Prestia's under the gun. You have to say in the second half of the season, you've got to be looking at Broad if we know that he's retiring at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
We need a mix of experience and exposure to the kids. Maybe there's a rotational policy where, they all get a rest here and there. Is he back?
Yeah. What do you mean? I never left.
I can't hear you.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you, fearless leader. Please right this ship.
Apologies.
Can
I was
EJ?
watching.
Seriously.
Yeah, can you hear me,
legit
EJ?
can't hear you, Michaels. Can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. No, you guys keep going. You guys keep going. I was watching on YouTube. You boys keep chatting.
No, we're good. So, can you hear? So you can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, put the graphic up and start filling the team in.
Oh, I don't have that graphic there to fill the team in, but I did have the graphic for our tips.
There we go.
Right, and what are your thoughts on the changes?
So I reckon, and this might bring up a graphic that I don't want it to. I'll remove that. I reckon that we got Mansell as a definite out. We've got Jonty Fall as a definite out. I'm really torn on will we just use Campbell Gray or can Lafau come in potentially and play that forward role? Like, I don't know whether we're going to replace another Tall. We might use a Lafau, for example, but he can play 65% of the game time and actually spend some time up forward and then ruck rather than have an extra runner as that fifth player, especially against the Suns who are ultra quick. I'm not sure if that's where you guys landed on that as well. What were the other theories on the changes there?
So it was do we keep Gray or do we bring McKelty in and then down back?
Well, Vlossen will be in, won't he?
Yeah, well, Vlossen will be in, so it's a matter of whether it's Gray out for Vlossen and McKelty in for Fall, or do you make another change and bring out a Broad or a Gibcus to add that extra runner?
How did you feel about Prestia and his chances of playing? I know it was flagged early that he might do some VFL, but then the report today was a bit more coy, wasn't it? That maybe they will chuck him straight in. I mean, if they do, I feel really scared if they keep him and Hopper in the same side and how that looks as well. So I don't know if they can go side by side. I also think with Mansell being out, does it open a sneaky look at Zane Piker, who the club are very, very bullish on in a game against a really classy outfit, but on the back of 2 goals, maybe they have a look at him.
For Elgar.
If he's okay, if he's not injured, of course.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be against it. So you've lost them definitely in, but I would much rather see us go with an extra runner. How do you think on the Campbell Gray thing, EJ and CB and everyone in chat? What did everyone think of the 32% game time? Like, we obviously had a very, very specific plan and role for him in mind, which is fine. Like, we're learning and trying things on the go as well. Do you think it worked? My thing is, post game, I'm thinking if we're going to play the backup ruckman 32% of the game, why wouldn't you just play Hayes Brown, who's a 208 centimetre ruckman who will actually win the ball out the middle for you occasionally, and you might get a more favourable matchup?
Go on.
I just wonder if we'll play Campbell Gray actually in the spot of Fall, and then bring in the extra runner on the bench that way. Opens up 3 spots. Does it? I don't know. Whatever. So yeah.
I have a feeling that prior to his stupidity, that McKelty was pretty much going to be in the side.
He was a lot.
Yeah.
A few people have asked. I'm not sure. I apologise if you discussed it, but the Christian Petrarca matchup. What do we do there? He's in genuine beast mode at the moment. It's actually quite frightening what he's doing at the Gold Coast Suns. I mean, does Ross get a minding task? Is it something that potentially Is that something that Hopper could do? Could Hopper be someone that looks after another midfielder to negate a bit more and let the other guys who use the ball a bit better do the offensive side of things if we were keeping Hopper in?
I don't think Hopper's got the wheels to go with him.
I'm going to go the other way, just like we did with Cripps. I'd stick Lalor on him to start.
Just for a learn?
Let him learn from the best. Let him learn from the best.
He's
I'm okay with that.
learning from the best at the moment, yep.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
And is Matt Rao back this week, or is he still injured?
Nah, his finger's still stuffed.
Okay. So, I mean, that helps, but they've just got so much depth in that department, don't they? Like Noah Anderson usually tortures us. Tuke Miller's not even playing big midfield minutes anymore. He's doing some work up front. Yeah, it's kind of scary. How do you feel our defenders will go against their key forwards?
The problem will be, mate. Sorry, AJ, you go.
All depends how much our midfield can slow the delivery of the ball into the forward 50.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
if they're walking it out, mate. If they're walking it out, won't matter if you've got Batman, Superman, and Jesus Christ in your half-back line. They're still hitting targets.
It's like you said. I think you were right at the start. It's a bad time to get them. I'm not sure there's going to be any good time to get them. But yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. I'll bring up the predictions, including
just get your ass kicking in now early in the season, so we can all just move on and go to the next game. Just get it done early, cop your beating, and we just move to the round 3.
And Bailey Humphrey might be back too, so there's another one to add into the mix. Might be someone we should try and target in the off-season too, Bailey Smith. But no, it'll be interesting. And look, I think the boys will take some hope from the same game last year, but they're a different beast now. They're a different beast. So I'll bring up the tips that we had. So feel free to send through your tips, including margin, in chat. Last week, the Tigercast member did not get the closest to, so the $10 jackpot to $20 this week. And Seb has gone for the Suns by 34, representing the Tigercast members. And if you blokes want to send through better photos, please feel free at any time during the week to send them through so I can update it. I reckon the Suns are going to be too strong. 42, Grock's got Suns by 41, EJ Suns by 48, and CB's tipped the Tigers by -45, just to round it out. It's going to be it'll be a tough game. What's interesting though is it's in some ways it's not a bad time to get them because they played West Coast last week and obviously did a number on them. So we might get somewhat of an accurate reading on how we sit in the overall scheme of things. I know it's home and away is a little bit different, but you're shaking your head, EJ?
Yeah. Suns took the foot off the gas in the third quarter.
No, they definitely.
And I reckon that is really going to piss Dimmer off.
You reckon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It will. It's so hard. What do you do early in the season, though? You've got to try and manage the loads, but
Lynch 1 goal 5.
Suns 50, Lynch 1 goal 5. But it's and Hugo Hagen might come in. Didn't he kick 5 or 6 in the VFL practice game or something for him? I mean, if you're Dimmer, this is the game you try and bring him in to stretch us. They've got King up front. I think is it Reed might be another one. And then, Jamara could come in and have maybe a favourable matchup. So, but it's stranger things have happened, gents. Stranger things have happened. It's going to take a big effort. And I think Nick might have put down earlier, that you just want to see the players go out there and try and execute our plan and our system and play how we want to play. And no doubt we'll get some times where the game's on our terms for periods, and there'll be other times where the Suns are doing what they do as well. It's just how much we weather the storm.
Can you just put that a few things back? Rod Dudley at 9:46 said that EJ would see this, right?
Oh,
right. I got that because Richo said he's absolutely right. Okay, I was on the Talking Tigers podcast. I was right. So
about what though?
When are you going to get one of them, Jane Bunn?
Jeez.
I'm just still trying to work out how I'm going to steal my oldest son's Guinness cap that he won on Saturday night. Let alone getting one of those things. He's got a bucket hat, this Guinness bucket hat, and I'm like, I'm going to steal that. Anyway.
Well, I've got a massive bonce and this will never fit me, so I'll mail it down to you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
what about us? Yeah, can we try and expose one of the small forwards? I mean, the Mac Andrew and Tom Lynch matchup will be explosive, dangerous, all of the above.
Mate,
should be interesting.
Just belief in the system. Just have a crack, put your head over it, and just
two hotheads going toe to toe, mano and mano.
It'd be huge.
Just back the system in and see what happens.
I think so. And I don't think we mentioned this earlier on, but I do want to wheel back a little bit to the game against the Blues. It was actually really good to see Uze really animated and fired up in the coaching box too. We didn't really see that last year. I guess last year was really a learning and education and whatever else, but it just felt like there was some expectations and things not being met that he wasn't happy with, and he was expressing that, and I'm all for it. I think it's really good. You want to see that happening. So look, the boys will believe they're a fighting chance, and stranger things have happened. We'll have to see how we go. But gents, thank you for jumping on tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Apologies for my internet dropping out. I've at zero warning that was going to happen. It didn't even say it was dropped out down the bottom, so I'm not even sure why it did that, but it is what it is. Well done for carrying on just without me. Very good.
What was weird, the viewership spiked to about 400 people when you went off, mate. So
probably did. Yeah, probably did. No, absolutely did. But massive shout out to the Tigercast members as well. The first batch of hoodies have arrived, so we'll start getting them out shortly. If you are going to be at the game on Saturday and you have pre-ordered a hoodie with that first batch, let me know. I'll probably reach out as well, because I'll maybe just bring them to the game and we can meet up and hand out some hoodies pre-game. And I think that's about it. Shout out again to Aussie Ringwood. CB, EJ, thank you for jumping on. Appreciate your time as always. Hopefully, Grock, you're feeling better soon, mate, with the migraine. And thank you for everybody for jumping in chat tonight. Always good to get all the comments and different views and opinions through. It's what makes this show and the podcast really fun, seeing all of your thoughts and feelings. So have a wonderful night, everybody. And we've got Tiggs on tomorrow night, so it'll be good to get his thoughts as well. And get to the game on Saturday at the MCG. Hopefully we can get a decent crowd, and hopefully the boys can have a red hot crack, and we'll see where it takes us. So until the next one, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Remember to delete your medical photos in your phone, Lord Rog. Very good. Delete your photos, people. Delete your photos.